So James Harden thinks he can fit with anybody and make him a championship contender. Ha 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 ha! Just do me a favor, will you please?
Stop the cap.
It's Friday. Let's go.
On your mark, get set. Let's go.
I can't do it. We'll do it live. Do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!
Mister, will you please wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up?
Good morning. Kevin Durant, you should have left California.
This bronsexual upset me in having to bring this teenage idiot from Wisconsin into a sports conversation. Are you really surprised that the Cowboys are giving up on Ezekiel Elliott?
Whoa. Hell no! Well, no one cares about baseball.
Bitch, are you for real?
Time to get this party started. 10:04 on your dial. Good morning. Welcome, one and all, to the fabulous, fantabulous, fantastic Football Friday edition of Snowman in the Morning. Time to close out the week in style. My apologies for those of you expecting that 49ers show last night. I will get it done probably tomorrow. So I'll let you know the time. Just had some things to get organized here. Now, with all that out of the way, and someone wants to come up and say thank you to me, I'll let you know who that is and when he's coming aboard right now. This is the Whip Around, and it's presented by Fanatics, y'all. In the ongoing legal battle for control of the Pac-12, the 10 departing universities expressed concern that if Oregon State and Washington were to obtain complete control of the conference board, they could attempt to withhold revenue distribution from the 2023-24 school year from the departing members. On September 9th, Washington State and Oregon State filed a complaint for breach of bylaws in Whitman County Superior Court and sought an emergency temporary restraining order to protect what the schools saw as an imminent and existential threat. I know I butchered that. I'm sorry. To the future of the conference. The TRO request was granted September 27th, which prevented any board meetings to be called. Now it gets worse and it gets uglier. Dear God. James Harden. That's all. Wembanyama has a breakout performance as he dropped 38 points in the Spurs win over the Phoenix Suns. But the Suns had erased a 27-point lead and threatened to finish an epic comeback victory. Instead, the number 1 overall pick, 19-year-old Victor Wembanyama, took over, and it won't be the last time. He scored 38. Zach Collins added 19, and the Spurs held off the Suns 132-121. The Suns tied the game at 116 on a Keita Baines drop three-pointer, but the Spurs responded by scoring the next 12 points, including 10 from Wemby. And I get the pleasure of seeing him live Monday night in Indianapolis, Indiana, with my good friend Bill Schoenig, as I'll be the statistician working the Spurs-Pacers game at the new Market Square Arena, better known as Gainbridge Fieldhouse. You know what I said about Wemby? About I don't think he'll pan out? Well, that's profiling. And in this case, profiling is definitely wrong. There's a lot of potential with this kid. I like it. I love it. I want to see him get stronger. I want to see him get faster. But but you can't teach 7'3". And what I was worried about with his athleticism and his motor, well, I could be wrong, and I have the feeling I'm going to be wrong. And there's Devontae Adams. The team's top offensive player of the Raiders had publicly expressed his frustrations with the Las Vegas offense. But now that former coach Josh McDaniels was fired early Wednesday morning, he stressed that players aren't jubilant about the change as much as the team needed to shift its mentality. Adams said, quote, "Don't get it confused. It's not a celebration that we have a new coach and there have been changes made. Obviously, I think it was time one way or the other. It was time for some sort of change just to bring a little juice in and revitalize the team a little bit. I think it's more of a mindset that we're trying to not force, but just have moving forward to try to be as positive as possible. Dear Devontae Adams, good luck." And finally, a very unfortunate piece of news that we got yesterday. Anyone who remembers the nickname the Greyhound can associate it with a fellow by the name of Walter Davis, the 5-time NBA All-Star who had his number retired by the Suns, which was number 6, has passed away. He was 69. He was a star in college at North Carolina when he played for the legendary late Dean Smith. It was North Carolina where Davis's nephew, Hubert Davis, the head basketball coach, which announced Walter Davis's death on Thursday. The release said Walter Davis died Thursday morning of natural causes while visiting family in Charlotte, North Carolina. He was drafted 5th overall by Phoenix in 1977 and became the Rookie of the Year after averaging 24.2 points per game. He played 11 of his 16 pro seasons with the Phoenix Suns, who retired his number 6. He moved to Denver for 3 years and then Portland before returning to the Nuggets in the 92-93 year for his final year. I've always loved and adored Walter Davis. They call him the Greyhound they called him, man, so many old schoolers have been leaving us, man. They called him the Greyhound for a reason. He was just so smooth with everything that he did. Everything. And the strange part is that Walter Davis was just him. He was the 6'6" shooting guard before there were 6'6" shooting guards. And this is coming from a guy who's only watched basketball since 1980. Okay? So I know there were shooting guards well before Walter Davis. But the first shooting guard for me was Walter Davis. Then Byron Scott came along. Then, of course, MJ came along. Dennis Johnson. Well, actually, Danny Ainge was a shooting guard for the Celtics. Of course, Dan Marley. Many, many, many more. Rest in power, Walter Davis. Rest in power, Greyhound. That'll do it for this edition of the Whip Around presented by Fanatics. Two for the price of one coming up. I'll expand more on the James Harden story I refuse to read. And the Titans got the door slammed in their face by Matt Canada and the Steelers. All that and more as the Friday edition of Snowman in the Morning continues after this.
Hey, Eagles fan. Join my man Cool McCain and a host of others as they break down every single game, every single week in an objective manner, and also from a fan's perspective as well. Remember, this cast feels just like you. Nobody likes you. And you don't care. Fly, Eagles, fly. Eagles Elite Podcast. Every Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern on YouTube and other podcast outlets.
Everything Boston. I love you morons. You kids from the block. New Edition.
Dear whatever the law firm is. Sincerely, the U.S. Supreme Court.
Ben Affleck. Matt Damon. Go yourself again, Jason Whitlock.
Ready to hang with some fellas who know football? Let's ride. LC Muscles 28.
I think they're the most overrated defense in the league.
Steel Sermon.
We did not trail for a single second.
Tiny Tim.
McCarthy is a bonehead.
A Pizzle 90.
I'm going with my boys. Fins up, baby.
Get ready for the Four Horsemen of Peckham's. Every Wednesday night at 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Central on YouTube. Poppy J.
You got the option to cry for the government. You got the option to protest. You got the option to keep buying. But this is also an option.
Wise El Jefe.
We're the first tech geeks. We're the first gamers. We're the first everything. Everything. Like Gen X's, we are the ones.
BS3 Network proudly presents the crew from the New York boroughs who never wants that smoke. Nah, they want that fire. Poppy J and Wise El Jefe. Fridays at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central. Check your local listings for your viewing and listening pleasure.
Mister, how do you operate this Twitter thing or this Instagram thing or whatever the heck? You're supposed to know all this stuff. Anyway, welcome back to the show.
To sponsor the program, drop an email to snowmanmultimedia@gmail.com. That's snowmanmultimedia@gmail.com. And the Brian Snow Show is getting a reboot. The actual first season will premiere in January. Now, my buddy JJ is here in the house with us. The Harden experiment won't work, and that's exactly what it's been. It's an experiment. It's an experiment. The Suns won't work either. They proved that last night because they can't play together. A Pizzle in the house with us from Florida. He says, good morning. JJ says, good luck to Devontae. I don't think anyone will take him. Do you? What do you guys think? Who do you think is the team that will take a chance on Devontae Adams? Victor greets everybody, and Sick Diggy greets us from Norway. Michael 3000 in the house with us, talking about smooth jump shooting guards. Clyde the Glide Drexler out of the University of Houston. And, of course, Ryan McCoffey with our hockey note on this Friday. He says, good morning, Snow Crew. It's November 3rd, 2023, and the New Jersey Devils have two of the top three scorers in the NHL, Jack Hughes and Jesper Bratt. Wow. Now, the question is, Mr. McCoffey, can they keep it up? for the remainder of the season. Okay, I'm going to call an audible, at least for this part of it. James Harden. Now, I didn't get a chance to go in on James. You know what? The hell with that. I'll save my James Harden rant for later. The Tennessee Titans lost on the road again to the Pittsburgh Steelers this time by a count of 20-16. I'm going to repeat that, Titans fans, who now dropped to 3-5 on the year, and they're 0-4 away from Nissan Stadium. The Pittsburgh Steelers are 5-3. They are a game behind Baltimore, who are 6-2 coming into this weekend. The Tennessee Titans are languishing in last place with the Indianapolis Colts, but the Colts have a chance to fix that. And plus, the Colts already beat the Titans. What is wrong in Tennessee? It's Derrick Henry and it's nothing else. They're trotting out Will Levis out there. Malik Willis is languishing. And since a 7-3 start last year, they have lost 12 of 15 games. I'm going to repeat that. Since their 7-3 start last year, good morning, Thomas Fitzpatrick. Since their 7-3 start last year, they have lost 12 of 15 games. 12 of 15. They're 0-4 away from Nissan Stadium. 0-4 on the road. What do you think? Is it time for Mike Vrabel to go? Is it time for the first coaching casualty to meet the road right now? Or actually second, because we know what happened to Josh McDaniels on Halloween. Is it time for Mike Vrabel to go? How do you fix this Tennessee ball club? And also going forward, what does this do for the Pittsburgh Steelers? I'll tell you what it does for the Steelers. It gives them a lot of confidence going forward in the season, knowing that they are clear right now of both Cleveland and Cincinnati. They're a game behind Baltimore. The thing that frightens me about Pittsburgh, they have surrendered more points than they've scored. They've scored 133 points. They've surrendered 163. Part of that is the offense not being able to do a damn thing. This is true. I mean, they left. How many points did they leave on the board last night? You put 7s on the board across the line instead of 3s. You're winning this game 28. You're winning this game walking away. You're winning this game walking away. 3 trips into the red zone last night didn't produce any points for the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's play calling. 3 trips into the red zone, and they couldn't come away with any points. It's not only play calling, it's always a lack of nerve. Kenny Pickett is finding his way. They need the rest of the offense to catch up with them and find their way. And they got to do it quick. They have to do it quick. Again, going back to Tennessee, what do you do at this point? You only had 340 yards of offense. You turned the ball over once, but you had more first downs than they did by 23-22. You outgained them 340-326. You held the ball for 31 minutes, but you only had 16 points. Pittsburgh only had the ball 28 minutes, 51 seconds. It's just... And Pittsburgh was favored by 3.5, and they covered. I see no advance for this offense. None. I see no advance for this offense under Matt Canada. Now the question is for Pittsburgh, who becomes their offensive when Canada is eventually let go, unless a miracle happens and they actually develop an offense and actually develop some continuity on offense, and that'll take a miracle and a half. Matt Canada will be let go. And as soon as Matt Canada is let go, the question starts, if it hasn't started already, who takes over as the offensive coordinator? Do you keep Kenny Pickett at quarterback? How long can the Steelers defense keep balling out and keep you in games? It's a 17-game season. 8 of them have been played already. How long can the Pittsburgh Steelers defense keep you in games? Going to continue to find that out throughout the course of the season. And how long before Kenny Pickett finally ascends to that number one quarterback status on the team? The team is rallying around him, no question about it. But the final question I have is, how long will Matt Canada hold him back? How long before he holds him? How long does Matt Canada hold back Kenny Pickett? Lots of questions to be answered, but Pittsburgh gets the win 20-16. And my player of the game is actually Kenny Pickett. 19 of 30, 180 yards, threw a touchdown, didn't turn the ball over. And he's going to share that award with Deontay Johnson. 7 catches, 98 yards. And he caught a touchdown last night. They're starting to round into shape, but Canada can't keep holding them back. He can't keep holding them back. Ton of questions to answer for Tennessee. I think it's time you push the plunger with Mike Vrabel, blow it up and start over. Which begs the eventual question, where will Derrick Henry land? Because they didn't renew his contract. And this is a team that competed for a chance to go to the Super Bowl 4 years ago. They went from that to this. And this latest free fall, they've lost 12 out of 15 since starting 7-3 last year. Time for them to start over. Speaking of starting over, James Harden is starting over. And the experiment begins again, this time with the Clippers. James Harden, sit down. I'm going to read something I can't believe I'm going to read. James Harden said he sacrificed millions along with his playing style, which he said was on a leash during his stint with the Philadelphia 76ers. Harden said he tried to do what was needed to win in Philadelphia, but that the 76ers front office did not want him. Now with the Clippers, Harden is hopeful he can change some of the negative narratives surrounding him following his rocky exits from Brooklyn and Philadelphia and prove that he is still an elite star who can fit in with Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, and Russell Westbrook and win a championship.
Mold him!
Please. Again.
Mold him!
Here's my initial thoughts on James Harden.
Trays.
He's a 6-man at best, operating as a number one. He ruins offenses. His place is on the bench. Okay? He is not a star in this league, nor should he be hailed as one. He should not be hailed as a star in this league because all he does is dribble. He steps back 40 times. No one calls a travel on him, and then he gets a shot up. Really? He hasn't changed his game since he left OKC. And OKC saw the handwriting on the wall with James Harden. They said, screw you. We don't want you. Get out of here. Beat it. Then he forced his way out of Houston. He forced his way out of Brooklyn. And now he has forced his way out of Philadelphia. Why do these teams who think James Harden is a star keep capitulating to his demands? Why don't they make him capitulate to theirs? Did what he could to help Philadelphia win, to help Brooklyn win? Man, please. He didn't help Brooklyn. He didn't help Brooklyn nor Philadelphia, and for many reasons, he didn't help Houston. Now, I know a certain Rockets fan who will agree with me with that. Matter of fact, let me say this. And Daryl Morey, this is a shot at you too. Remember when Daryl Morey said that the year that James Harden, I think it was the 2018-2019 season, somebody look that up for me, please, where Harden averaged 37 plus points per game, and Daryl Morey said that James Harden is the greatest offensive player in NBA history?
Stop it. Get some help.
Who told this lie? James Harden, the greatest offensive player in NBA history?
Bitch, please.
Have you seen him play? Have you seen how he ruins offenses by holding the ball for 20 of the 24 seconds? Have you seen his footwork get worse and worse and worse? Have you seen the way his game has eroded? I said it, eroded. This game's eroded, man. Stop it. Michael.
Stop it. Get some help.
It's not going to work in Los Angeles. It's not going to work with Paul George. It's not going to work with Kawhi Leonard. It's definitely not going to work with Russell Westbrook. Russell Westbrook and James Harden in the same backcourt for the third time. If the first two times didn't teach you anything, what do you think it's going to teach you this time, with both players being older, both players being set in their ways, and both players wanting to dominate holding the ball? Really? And you're right, Ryan. Dear James Softon, change your game and grow the darn it, I didn't have the button ready. Let me try that again. Dear James Softon, change your game and grow the up. Okay? Who actually, give me this button. Who actually believes James Harden is a star in this league? Who actually believes James Harden gives a damn about playing basketball? Who actually believes James Harden gives a damn about playing basketball the right way? I'll echo something that Y said yesterday. It's the team's fault that keep believing that he is a good player, and they keep paying him like he's a good player when he is God awful. Kawhi. Stop it. You know what the league needs to do, but they won't because they depend on James Harden to sell seats. Lock the doors on him. Tell him, hit the road, Jack, and don't you come back no more. And I know that's a team decision. And I know the Clippers won't make that decision because there's money tied up in everything. Who's going to pay Harden, who's not going to pay Harden, and things like that. I get all that. But from a fundamental standpoint, he sucks. I'm one of the best players in the league. How's that song go again?
Why the you lying? Why you always lying? Oh my gosh, stop lying. Always lying to me. You lying so much. You making it hard for me. Yeah.
It's for you, Victor. If the experiment didn't work in Houston, what makes you think the experiment's going to work in Los Angeles? And the sub-experiment to that is James Harden and Russell Westbrook reunited together for a third time. OKC, Houston, and now with the Clippers. This makes my head hurt, and I'm a fan of neither team. To the point where I say this, and now a selection from the Wonder Bread Choir entitled, Y'all Tripping. James Harden actually being a teammate. You fool! James Harden actually being a productive player. You fool! James Harden actually concerning himself about his team and the organization that he's with. You fool! You fool! Who told these lies? Who actually thought that? Who actually in Clipperland thought this? Who actually in Clipperland actually thought this? I can't believe this. I mean, stop, please. It's going to be because of James. You know, my original statement was it would be because of James Harden and Joel Embiid that Philadelphia doesn't make the playoffs. Now it'll be because of James Harden, the lack of Kawhi Leonard, the lack of Paul George, and the lack of empathy from Russell Westbrook that keeps the Clippers out of the playoffs. Matter of fact, I say the Clippers finish under 500 in a stacked Western Conference, which has the world champion Denver Nuggets, which has the Golden State Warriors, which has a young set of San Antonio Spurs, which has the Utah Jazz, although they're faltering, which supposedly had the Phoenix Suns, not after what the hell I saw last night. Not after what the hell I saw last night. You gotta be kidding me. Ain't no way. Ain't no way this combination is going to work. It's not possible. It just ain't possible. James Harden is the Western Conference's version of LeBron James. Oops, did I say that? Did I say that aloud? I sure did. I said that aloud, and I will continue to say it aloud. In conclusion of this hot seat rendition, James Harden sucks. Matter of fact, I had a conversation with my good buddy and one of my best friends, Victor. Doggone it. I need to have this. I need to have this button handy. I need to have this button handy. In a conversation I had with I said I was going to talk about James Harden this morning, and Victor responded to me with, got me up. Still want to know where he found that song. James Harden, you a in case you didn't hear me, I'll say it again, louder. James Harden, you a royal soft and you're going to cost the Clippers the same way you cost the Brooklyn Mess, the same way you cost the Oklahoma City Thunder, the same way you cost the Houston Rockets, the same way you cost the Philadelphia 76ers. You suck, James Harden. Period. And I hope that after this stint, which ain't going to last long, that you never get another chance in the NBA ever again. Ever. Now get the hell out of here. Now that I got that off my chest, pause for a break, and then Sam Shady is next, and then we'll make our picks at the top of the hour. This is Snowman in the Morning with Cole Johnson. Back in a flash!
everything Boston. I love you morons. New Kids on the Block, New Edition.
Dear whatever the law firm is. Sincerely, the U.S. Supreme Court.
Ben Affleck, Matt Damon. Go yourself again, Jason Whitlock.
Ready to hang with some fellas who know football? Let's ride. LC Muscles 28.
I think they're the most overrated defense in the league.
Steel Sermon.
We did not trail for a single second.
Tiny Tim.
McCarthy is a bonehead.
A Pizzle 90.
I'm going with my boys. Fins up, baby.
Get ready for the Four Horsemen of Pick'ems. Every Wednesday night at 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Central on YouTube. Poppy J.
You got the option to cry for the government. You got the option to protest. You got the option to keep buying, but this is also an option.
Wise El Jefe.
We're the first tech geeks. We're the first gamers. We're the first everything. Everything. Like Gen X's, we are the ones.
BS3 Network proudly presents the crew from the New York boroughs who never wants that smoke. Nah, they want that fire. Bobby J and Wise El Jefe, Fridays at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central. Check your local listings for your viewing and listening pleasure.
Mister, how do you operate this Twitter thing or this Instagram thing or whatever the heck? You're supposed to know all this stuff. Anyway, welcome back to the show.
Sorry, pardon me. My apologies.
What in the all types of blue hell?
This is Snowman in the Morning with Cole Johnson.
That's just a little piece of Bizarro Wise. He'll be along in a little while. Speaking of being along, we got a lot of weekend football to talk about. That means this man is here. On the Invader Coffee guest line is the one and only Sam Shady of the Shady Sports Network. And before we get started, congratulations on your accomplishment. Your YouTube channel crossed the 1,000 subscriber mark. We here at Snowman in the Morning and Snowman Multimedia are very, very proud of you. We appreciate your grind, and we thank you for extending the olive branch that you did for this show and others.
Oh, man, I honestly, it's been a long trip. I honestly never expected it to take this long, if I'm being 100% honest with myself and everybody else. But, you know, this YouTube thing isn't as easy as everybody makes it sound at first. So it's been a lot of fun to get there. I appreciate everything you guys have done to help us get there. And hopefully we can return that favor and get you to 1,000 very quickly.
Looking for that to be a Christmas present. That's our goal, to get there by Christmas. All right, let's dive in. We start with the CFL, and these two neighbors get together on Saturday. That's a 3:00 kickoff at Molson Stadium. Hamilton Tiger Cats and the Montreal Alouettes. These two just played, so familiarity breeds contempt with these two guys.
100%. I mean, obviously this is a division rivalry. You see Hamilton and Montreal face each other several times a year, every year. So they're definitely very familiar with each other. It's going to be an interesting game, although at this point, Montreal kind of cleaned up some of their issues towards the end of the season that I was concerned about before. They went from a 7-7 record and actually finished 11-7. So they definitely, finished up strong. If I had to put some money on this one, I would definitely be rooting for, or putting my money on Montreal anyway, because I really just think that Hamilton has been up and down all season long, and Montreal has looked a lot more steady in weeks past. So I really think that they've probably got the advantage in this one.
Montreal has looked a lot better down the stretch. As you mentioned, a 4-game winning streak to close the season. They get to host the East semifinal. We know there's a big advantage if you have home field, especially in the CFL. But what was the biggest issue in your eyes that Montreal had to clean up for them to get on this 4-game winning streak and to get home field advantage in the East semifinal?
Well, to be quite blunt, I think it was Cody Fajardo's struggles. I mean, in the past, Cody Fajardo has been that kind of steadying veteran presence. This season for Montreal, he was throwing as many interceptions as he was touchdowns for quite a while throughout the season. I know he had dealt with some injury issues and stuff like that, but ultimately, I mean, he finished the season with 14 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. At one point, I believe, if I remember correctly, he was at 10 touchdowns to 10 interceptions around that 7-7 mark. And then, he kind of progressed from there. But ultimately, I think that he was holding the team back, quite honestly. I mean, you can't be producing a 1-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio as a starting quarterback in any league, especially in the CFL where, the quarterback really realistically is the difference. If you look at the teams like, Winnipeg, they've got Caleros, who's been established for many years. Or you look at Toronto, they've got steady quarterback play even when Chad Kelly comes out of the game. So, those are the two perennial powerhouse teams at this point. You want to kind of follow their lead, and Fajardo simply wasn't playing up to that task at that point.
How do the Hamilton Tiger Cats spring the upset on the road?
Well, I think it's going to be very interesting to watch their quarterback situation as well. I've heard they're going to platoon quarterbacks once again. It's something that Hamilton's done in the past. And to me, that's kind of an interesting strategy going into the playoffs. But with that being said, I mean, honestly, if you've had success with it, there's a good opportunity to go ahead and repeat that success. But Hamilton realistically needs to get their run game going no matter who is in the game at quarterback, because realistically, Montreal's defense will pin their ears back and get after that quarterback all day long if you allow them to. So you really can't allow yourself to be one-dimensional in this game. You want to utilize play action, kind of get those defensive ends thinking while they're rushing, not just pinning their ears back. So that would be my main course of action here. Run the ball. Even if it's not working out at first, stay dedicated to it. You want them to at least understand that you have the willpower to run the ball, and then what happens past then is kind of up to the rest of the team. But this quarterback situation is going to be very intriguing, whether it's Matthew Schultz or Taylor Prowl or Bo Levi Mitchell. One of these guys is going to be a quality quarterback for somebody else next season. So there's another reason why this game is so interesting to watch.
Big time auditions for Hamilton. We'll see who comes out on top in that game. We'll pay close attention to it, and we'll pay close attention to this one as well, as the whole place will be open at BC Place. 6:30 start time on Saturday. It's the Calgary Stampeders and the BC Lions. And I mentioned earlier that familiarity breeds contempt. Well, with these two guys going at each other, remember Calgary stomped BC at BC Place the last time these two played, but BC got their act together thanks to Vernon Adams, who had to survive a lot of injuries this year. They get to host the West semifinal one more time.
Yeah, I got to be honest. This is kind of the David and Goliath story of this year's playoff run. I mean, you look at a 6-12 Calgary going against a 12-6 BC, and obviously the records there kind of show just how big of a gap this is. Like you said, Calgary has beat BC in the past, but I think realistically going into this one, BC's got to be your favorite, especially because they're currently one of the best teams in the league. I mean, they're really not that far behind Winnipeg, that's 14-14, coming out of the West there. So this is going to be an interesting game only because there is that upset factor. But if BC doesn't come out of the winner of this game, I would be very, very shocked.
I would be very shocked as well. Their leader is Vernon Adams. He threw for 4,769 yards. He also threw for 31 touchdowns. To the NFL and some trade talk, and the Washington Redskins are sellers at the deadline. This is the first piece to fall. Montez Sweat to the Chicago Bears. How does Sweat help the Chicago Bears defense?
Well, I think Montez Sweat realistically could have helped 32 defenses in the league, no matter where he was going to end up. He's just one of those guys that He's a freak athlete. He's one of those players that is simply always going to have a job until he decides he doesn't want to play football anymore because of what he can do. He's never really quite panned out to the level that I think anybody thought he would in the NFL. But at the same time, if I'm not mistaken, he dealt with some major health issues coming into the league. So I believe that kind of derailed some of his progress. I'm kind of excited to see what Eberflus will do with him. I'm a big Matt Eberflus fan. I think he's still going to figure it out there in Chicago. I think they got a lot of talent, and I think this aggressiveness shows where they think they are. So I think there's some things that we're not necessarily seeing on the field at this moment, but that will maybe show themselves down the road. Once these players start getting comfortable, starting gelling together, maybe they get a couple more pieces for next season, something like that. And the Bears might be a contender, especially if they can keep Sweat.
Speaking of keeping people, the rich get richer. And as Montez Sweat was dealt to the Bears, this happened. Chase Young is headed to the Bay to reunite with Nick the Quick Bosa and the San Francisco 49ers, who are in the midst of a 3-game losing streak. We all know what the problem is defensively. They haven't been able to get home. Last year, they took a chance on Christian McCaffrey, and they upgraded their offense. Now, John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan take another roll of the dice with Chase Young. And a lot of people poo-pooed on this deal, on this trade, I beg your pardon, for San Francisco, because they want to highlight the injuries that Chase Young has gone through. They did the same with Christian McCaffrey last year. Now Chase Young is on a team that actually not only wants him to perform, but will help get him healthy and help get him ready to perform.
100%. I don't understand why you would have any negative feelings about this trade. What did they get a given return? Wasn't it a 3rd-round pick?
Yep, 3rd-round pick.
To me, that's a steal. I mean, this is another guy that you realistically could have put on any defense in the league, and he would have improved them. When I saw the fact that they got him for a 3rd-round pick, I quite honestly wish the Eagles would have gotten him. I mean, I know we didn't necessarily need pass rush that desperately, but for a 3rd-round pick, why would you not take a chance on that guy?
Yeah.
I mean, that just, especially when you're a team like the 49ers and that 3rd-round pick is going to be a late 3rd. We're talking probably 29th to 32nd pick in the 3rd round. So that's basically a 4th-round pick for Chase Young. That's unbelievable.
And the 49ers, again, taking another gamble like they did last year with Christian McCaffrey. And you saw all the chatter with Christian McCaffrey last year going to the 49ers. First, there was surprise, and then there was like, a lot of people brushed it off, save maybe Philadelphia and maybe Kansas City, potential NFC Championship and Super Bowl opponents, because you don't brush off a talent like Christian McCaffrey. That's what they did last year, and look what he's doing for them now. Now, you get Chase Young to a defense that is hungry to get back on the field and straighten out their problems, especially defensively, under new coordinator Steve Wilks. And at the same time, they're looking to improve. They want to improve. And if you don't keep Chase Young, you get a compensatory 3rd-round pick. So the Niners are already sitting on a 3rd-round pick, even though they traded it for Chase Young. But there's a possibility if Chase Young walks, you get 2 3rd-round picks. So this is a win-win situation for San Francisco. John Lynch knows what he's doing.
100%, and I'm glad you mentioned that, because there is almost like a fail-safe built in there with that trade. So honestly, I think this is a trade, like I said, if you're a contending team and you can add a Chase Young to your defensive lineup, you go make that move. I mean, especially for the cost that they got him for. I mean, now you look at the defensive line, and you've got a Javon Hargrave, Javon Kinlaw, you've got Eric Armstead still in there, and then you got also Nick Bosa, and then they just added Randy Gregory as well. So I mean, this is it's just unbelievable. Quite honestly, I never expected a trade like this from San Francisco. I honestly thought they were going to sit pat. I thought they were happy with what they had. Despite the 3-game losing streak, I honestly think San Francisco is not necessarily comfortable with where they're at. Obviously, you're never comfortable after a 3-game losing streak, but I think they're very confident in their ability to get back to where they need to be that deep playoff run contender, and ultimately they will. It's only a matter of time, but you go out and make a move like this, and I think you put the rest of the league on notice. You realistically show them that you're not going to stop at anything to win a Super Bowl, because that's 100% why you make this move.
And a quick look at San Francisco this year compared to last year. Last year they were 4-4. They trailed by a game and a half to Seattle in the division. They wound up winning by 4 games. You look at Frisco this year, 5-3. They trailed Seattle by only a half game. They got a Seahawk Eagle sandwich around Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving night they go to Seattle. Then 10 days later we go to Philadelphia and come see you guys in a championship preview. I've said that all along. I will stick with it. Then we get Seattle at home 7 days after that. 2 of those 3 are going to be wins. The question mark, of course, is going to be Philadelphia because, hey, it's the Philadelphia Eagles. All right. The only reason we're trailing right now is because the Eagles exist. I'm not worried about Seattle. People are telling me that I should. I'm not worried about Seattle. Seattle has been inconsistent at best, even though they're sitting up top the NFC West. Look at the 49ers this year at 5-3 compared to last year at 4-4, even with all the questions that they have, even with the dynamic performance that Christian McCaffrey has had. The Niners have the Seahawks and most of the NFC right where they want them.
100%. Like I said, I don't think they're concerned at all. I mean, obviously, again, you're never comfortable after a 3-game losing streak, but they understand that they've been there before and they've prevailed. They know how to get back to where they need to be. They're dealing with, quite a few injuries right now as well. Mm-hmm. So as soon as you kind of go through the season, you get some time, some of these guys come back. I think we're going to see a late season boost once again, and then they're going to go on a late season win streak. They'll win the NFC West, and then they'll ultimately coast into the playoffs once again, or not coast into the playoffs, but they'll ultimately go into the playoffs once again. I'm honestly, maybe it would be a little bit concerning if they lost this upcoming week and you have a 4-game losing streak. But even then, I'm not counting them out. I still expect them to be in the NFC Championship game. I still expect them to just roll over some opponents coming up here soon. And Seattle does not scare me. Maybe it's my bias against Geno Smith and what he's done in the past, or I really don't know what it is, but something about that team just seems like it's missing, and the 49ers do not feel that way to me.
No, you don't fear Seattle. You absolutely fear San Francisco. And speaking of fear, the Cowboys should fear the Philadelphia Eagles, and this is our main event here on this chat on this Friday. It's Cowboys week. If you're an Eagle fan, of which I'm, the Eagles are my second adopted NFC team. 425 is your kickoff from Lincoln Financial Field. You know that's going to be a madhouse. And with all Eagles fans, Sam included, it's Cowboys week. You take nothing for granted, sure, but you look at where the Cowboys are and where the Eagles are, and the Cowboys are where the Cowboys want to be where the Eagles are right now. And right now, you've seen it all year. We've talked about it. When the Cowboys play lesser opponents, they feast. When they play actual contenders, they famine. That's the problem.
100%. I'm fully expecting this to be a great game coming up, but I do expect to come out of it with a win. Dallas at first was definitely concerning me, but then, as you said, it kind of developed over time that as they faced a little bit tougher opponents, they would go ahead and lose some games. They lost some games I didn't expect them to lose. That Arizona one was a shocker. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, ultimately, my concern for the Cowboys so far has kind of waned a little bit. Obviously that can change at any moment, considering they could come out and win this game. But I do ultimately think the Eagles are going to find enough to slow down Dak Prescott. I expect we'll probably have 1 or 2 interceptions in this game. And I'm very excited to see Kevin Byard with another week underneath his belt. So that's realistically, I'm not concerned about any team in the NFC right now. The only team that scares me at all is the 49ers. And I mean, I'm not just saying that because you're a 49ers fan. They are the only team in the NFC right now that's complete enough to realistically give the Eagles a run for the money. And that's no knock on the Dallas Cowboys. It's just they have some room to grow as well. And I think Cowboys fans, including Ben, who I'm sure is going to be on this episode, would say the exact same thing. There's a lot of room for growth there still. Jerry Jones and company have some room or some work to do this offseason for sure, as do every other team in the league. But right now you look at the NFC, and I think the two most complete teams are 49ers and the Eagles.
We've talked about this for 2 years now. And at the end of the NFC Championship, I gave your team kudos. I gave you kudos. And then I also coupled it with see you next year, next January in the NFC Championship game. And aside to my wife, people think I'm nuts. I'm not nuts. I know what I see. I trust my eyes. I trust my team, both teams, the Eagles and the 49ers. We're going to clash in mid-January. We're going to clash at the end of January for another NFC Championship. And this time it'll be an epic one because the 49ers will be healthy.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, how could you realistically think that's crazy? I mean, have you been watching this season at all? You look at the games on the that we have, and obviously the Eagles have shown some chinks in their armor as well. There's been some times where they haven't looked tough, but realistically, I think that's just the parity in the NFL right now.
Yeah,
we have a lot of talent across the league, and most of these teams that are even having losing records right now are better than their record. They've just had some bad breaks, and unfortunately that happens.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, I mean, I think it's a situation where, realistically, there's only two teams that have separated themselves, and you look at it, and it's the Philadelphia Eagles and the San Francisco 49ers. Even the 49ers losses, you look who they've lost to, and it's teams that at least should have possibly given them a run, rather than, I spoke about with Dallas, you've got an Arizona team that's tanking and walks into Dallas and beats them. That just, you have to look at how these losses happened, not necessarily just the record and, we've got 6-3 and 6-3 or whatever it is. It just, you just realistically have to look at how everything happened. And that's a situation where 49ers and, have done enough to me that they're better off than they were last season. So, I expect them still to have an 11-12 win record by the time the season wraps up.
And I said after the Bengals game, and the Bengals kicked our ass. All right, let's throw no shade to Cincinnati. Cincinnati is a playoff team, period. They're rounding into shape right now. I made the prediction last year after we lost to Kansas City, and that game also occurred at Levi's Stadium. This is what people don't get. That game occurred at Levi's Stadium, and I said the Niners could run the table. I'm going to say it again. We got a week off. We're a game ahead of where we were last year, and save the game in Philadelphia. I believe the 49ers, regular season-wise, can run the table again.
I 100% agree. Excuse me. Again, you look at who they lost to. They lost by 2 points to a very tough Browns team.
Yep.
They lost by 5 points to the Vikings, who have a very stout offense, regardless of the concerns about Kirk Cousins on prime time. Mm-hmm. And then, you lose to the Bengals, who were in the Super Bowl, 2 seasons ago?
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, you talk about these teams they've lost to. They're good teams. They're teams that are realistically all playoff teams. So, again, none of this concerns me. They're dealing with a lot of injury issues right now. You get a couple of those players back, and all of a sudden you're back to being the San Francisco 49ers. Debo alone, in my mind, is a huge loss, and he's not even the only player gone. So that big drop-off at the wide receiver position is huge. It's huge. Even you look at how Brandon Ayuk has performed before when Samuel was healthy, and you look at it now, and obviously he's getting more coverage rolled his way because he's the main threat.
Right.
But that's part of the reason why this offense is so effective. You don't know who to necessarily double cover at any time, with Kittle there and Ayuk there and Samuel there, and then you got Christian McCaffrey coming out of the backfield. There's just so much talent on that offense when they're healthy that it's impossible to stop them. And that's what has made them so good. And right now, they're just lacking a little bit of health. And once it gets back to that point where everybody's healthy, you're going to be looking at one of the best teams in the NFL once again.
Sam Shady joining us as he does every single Friday to talk football. The Cowboys and the Eagles this Sunday, 4:25 Eastern Time. Enjoy it, my friend Sam, and fly, Eagles, fly. Thank you.
Absolutely. One real quick snippet again. I always got to give you guys a little bit of AFL news. The Nashville Cats have returned to the Arena Football League for the 2024 season. Yes. Jeff Fisher, former Tennessee Titans head coach, as we all know, is going to be involved. I believe he's a chief director or something of the sort. He's kind of in the operations side. So I'm kind of very excited to see how this team comes out. They didn't announce a coach yet, and there's a little bit of controversy about their name. There might be an alteration coming, but either way, Nashville has another arena football team. Very excited about that. Very excited that Jeff Fisher's involved. I think that's another big move, and definitely excited to see what the rest of the season comes. I'm hearing that we will have every team name announced by November 16th, and that we're going to have some big information dropping on the 16th. So definitely stay tuned there. And definitely excited to see what comes, because I really think this is shaping up to be a great league and a league that we can all follow for many years to come.
When that information drops on all the team names, Snowman Multimedia and the Shady Sports Network will be there, and we'll follow the AFL for the 2024 season. Love you, Sam. Thank you very much for coming on. Appreciate it.
Of course. Have a great rest of your day.
Doggone it. I forgot about that. Second hour after this.
Hey, Eagles fan. Join my man Cool McCain and a host of others as they break down every single game, every single week in an objective manner, and also from a fan's perspective as well. Remember, this cast feels just like you. Nobody likes you. And you don't care. Fly, Eagles, fly. Eagles Elite Podcast. Every Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern on YouTube and other podcast outlets.
Everything Boston. I love you, you morons. New Kids from the Block, New Edition.
Dear whatever the law firm is. Sincerely, the U.S. Supreme Court.
Ben Affleck, Matt Damon. Go yourself again, Jason Whitlock.
Because we take this job so serious.
Y'all know what? Hey, cool. You know how much I hate this out with a passion.
What in the all types of blue hell?
This is Snowman in the Morning with Cole Johnson.
Two starts here and now, and here's Mike Debate to help us make some picks this morning. Good morning, Michael. How are you?
I'm doing well, Brian. Thanks so much for having me on this morning.
And, of course, to help us, our regular picker, Victor Locke, but you all know him as... Doing, Victor? Good morning.
I'm doing well, Snowman. How are you guys doing?
I'm doing great. Before we get to our picks, let's talk a couple of trades, and both involve the Washington Redskins and a couple of defensive stars. Montez Sweat is now with the Chicago Bears. Let's go to our senior NFL insider, Mike Debate for Snowman Multimedia. Your thoughts on this trade by the Redskins to the Bears?
Well, this is definitely one I've been monitoring all week long with the Patriots coming up with the matchup with the Washington Commanders on Sunday at 1 p.m. at Gillette Stadium. Listen, Montez Sweat is a big part of what that Commanders defense did in terms of being able to get after the quarterback And the other part of that is also being shipped off, which I'm sure we'll talk about in just a moment, my friend. But this move, I like this move for the Bears. I think Montez gives them a little bit of flexibility in terms of being able to build around a veteran, someone that can give you a good amount of speed and a good amount of juice in the pass rush. For Washington, this is all about the future. I spoke to a few Washington insiders this week that seem to believe that this is definitely a sign that they are looking toward the future, not really looking much toward the present at this point.
Right.
Not sure about the message that sends to the Commanders right now, but they are stockpiling weapons, and they'll continue to use those moving forward. So a lot of forward thinking when it comes to the Commanders. I like the return they got on him, but from the Bears' perspective, I also like the job that they did of picking up someone that I believe can help anchor their defense for a number of years.
To the Windy City with Victor and our Bears insider. Your thoughts on this move? Montez Sweat, does he help the Bears defense in the immediate?
I think he tremendously helps the Bears in the immediate, because one thing that the Bears have severely lacked, I would say, since the mid-2000s has been the lack of pressuring the quarterback, getting to the quarterback, getting those sacks, and getting those hurries. Since they haven't had that, since the offensive line of most of their opponents have been so stout and they haven't been able to get that pressure, you've seen a lot of them feasting on the soft middle of the cover two defense, which the Bears still continue to employ. So now you have Montez Sweat there, who's really good at rushing the quarterback and getting pressure. I think this is going to cause some ruckus in the backfield. And it also helps against those with pretty decent running games as well.
Speaking of causing a ruckus, as Montez Sweat was dealt to the Bears, I talked about with Sam earlier in the show, and then this happened. Chase Young is headed to the Bay to reunite with fellow Ohio State alumnus Nick Bosa. And Mike, I'll start with you first. The rich get richer, and now last year, the Niners took a chance on Christian McCaffrey. Everybody wants to highlight his injury problems and not what he can contribute to a well-run organization like San Francisco. Here we go again with Chase Young.
Yeah, here we go again with Chase Young and his 5 sacks coming over from the Washington Commanders. Look, you mentioned the rich get richer. That seems to be the theme of this trade when it comes to what the 49ers and the Commanders were able to pull off. But I love this move for San Francisco. Look, on his upside, when Chase Young is healthy and he's dialed in, he's one of the most dynamic and really one of the most versatile pass rushers in the game. You add him to a defense that already, like you said, includes Nick Bosa and so many complementary pieces that just absolutely fit well. This was a great move for San Francisco. This really puts them into another stratosphere defensively. And again, for Washington, they continue to stockpile draft capital for the future, whether or not they want to move that or invest it. It gives them flexibility. So I think this was a good trade both sides, but anybody that's criticizing this from a 49ers perspective, I don't think is seeing the forest from the trees. This was a great move and really helps to enhance what was an already formidable defense.
And the safety net for the 49ers, should Chase Young choose not to stay in the Bay, which I think he will, they get a compensatory 3rd-round pick. So there's almost literally no investment by San Francisco, and yet you get one of the most dynamic pass rushers when healthy, as you said, Mike, to your team, to a team that needed a boost, and they're only a half game out of the NFC West. But in essence, they leave the NFC West by a game because they're undefeated and everyone else is lost in the division.
Yeah, 100% right, and well said. And again, compensatory picks do factor into these, and I'm so glad that you mentioned those. Coming from New England, we're quite well versed in being able to extract value from a trade that might not have necessarily the cachet or the ability to be sold by the media or whatever, however you want to spin it. Compensatory picks can really be a big part of why these moves are pulled off. So, yeah, very savvy by the front office of the San Francisco 49ers once again.
To Victor Locken in Chicago, how does this immediately help the San Francisco 49ers acquiring Chase Young from Washington?
Well, one thing we got to go back to is this whole CMC deal, and you're going to see a big parallel between him and Chase Young. A lot of people were very pessimistic on CMC coming to the Bay because he had all these injuries, but you got to remember, Carolina heavily misused CMC. Gave him way too high of a workload, didn't give him much weapons or anyone around him, so of course he would take a lot of injuries. He comes to San Fran, and he has a much better system, has better weapons. Of course, you have George Kittle, Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk. You have a bunch of people who can take the pressure off of him, kind of share the wealth around, and he ends up making a killing. I say the same thing's going to happen for Chase Young. You get him a spot where they know how to use him defensively, and of course he's with his boy
Nick Bosa.
You're going to see a tag team. You're going to see almost like the Brian Urlacher effect.
And there's a pick that Mike and I talked about that was drafted by San Francisco in 2020. His name is Javon Kinlaw. He's rounding into shape after battling injuries as well, and he can spell either Bosa or Chase Young. And they added Randy Gregory from the Denver Broncos. So you talk about a 49ers team that had trouble getting out of the gate last year, and they won the NFC West by 4 games, got to the NFC Championship. Now they have their quarterback of the future already there. They have Christian McCaffrey locked in for another 2 years. Nick Bosa's locked in for another 4. They restructured Bosa's contract as well as George Kittle's contract, and Kittle's locked in for another 4 years. So, Mike, you said it to me off the air. You talk about some savvy moves that the 49ers have made since 2020, especially given who they drafted. I mentioned Javon Kinlaw, of course, Brandon Ayuk, when they swung a trade with Minnesota. You talk about a team that's preparing themselves and putting themselves in position to be a dynasty in the NFC, just as Philadelphia is. You're looking at them. It's the rise of the 49ers again.
Absolutely. And again, it's forward thinking. The good franchises that are relevant for more than 1-2 years flash in the pan set themselves up for flexibility. They set themselves up to be able to make moves deep into their run. The 49ers are doing that. You're seeing that over in Kansas City with the Chiefs. They continue to be relevant.
Yep.
Saw it for 2 decades with the Patriots earlier on.
Yep.
So these are the teams that consistently stay relevant because they're run well from the top, and they're given the opportunity to make the most of their investments. And that's exactly what San Francisco is doing. And like you said, once again, rise of the 49ers.
Well, you know why you're here. Everybody knows why Mike is here and why Victor is here. It's time. It's week 9. It's time for us to make some picks, and our picks are presented by BetUS.com. BetUS.com, where the game begins. And a big hello to Real Wise TV, a.k.a. Wise El Jefe, joining us this morning, and everybody else in the comment section. Make your picks along with us. We'll start in Germany with the Dolphins and the Chiefs. They kick off at 9:30 a.m. Eastern time in Frankfurt, Germany. Chiefs are laying 2 in Frankfurt. You know what? You may as well lay them in a lot more. Tyreek Hill is already woofing, saying the Chiefs are going to get this work. I kind of think it's going to be the Miami Dolphins that are going to get work. Give me the Chiefs, and I'm laying the points. Mike?
Give me the Chiefs, and I'm laying the points, too. Look, the Chiefs are coming off that loss at Denver. The offense did not look good. Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, these guys know what this offense is capable of. And they're hearing the chatter on the other side of the pond right now and hearing everything that's going on with the Miami Dolphins and how people are ready to anoint them the juggernaut of all juggernauts. That is an impressive offense, by the way, folks. I'm in no way lessening what that offense can do.
Right.
But the Kansas City Chiefs are the defending champs for a reason. They know how to get these matters done and how to get these things done. I like the Chiefs in this one. And I'm laying the points as well.
Victor, do you make this unanimous?
Absolutely. I mean, right now, this is what we call a PO game. You know, KC is PO'd that they lost last time, especially against the Broncos. Oh, they're going to come out with a house of fire, and I don't see Miami having the defense to be able to stop Patrick Mahomes when he gets on a tear, and I think that's what's going to happen. So, yeah, KC, and I'm laying the points.
Let's go to Baltimore, 1 p.m. kickoff. It's the Seattle Seahawks and the Baltimore Ravens. Baltimore laying 6 at M&T Bank Stadium. You may as well make it more because I don't trust Geno Smith, especially on the road. They're flying high right now because they're sitting in first place in the NFC West. Pump the brakes a little bit. You got to contain Lamar Jackson, and that ain't going to happen. It'll be a rare 300-100 game. It'll belong to Lamar Jackson. Give me the Ravens, and I'm laying the points. Michael?
Yeah, give me the Ravens. I'm laying the points as well. I mean, look, the way Seattle's defense is set up, it gives you difficulty in being able to defend against an adequate slot. So look for Zay Flowers to be active this week as well. I look for him to have an easier time maybe getting through and finding a little seam. But ultimately, like you said, Brian, it's going to be containing Lamar Jackson. I just don't think Seattle is capable of doing it. They might get their points here and there, but bottom line, I don't think this one's going to be particularly close. I like the Baltimore Ravens in this one as well.
Victor, do you make this unanimous?
Yes, I'm making it unanimous yet again. I mean, let's be honest. Seattle is in first place in the West because of technicality, because San Fran is injured. That's the only reason why they're there. And I don't see Geno Smith keeping them there. This is going to be the game where they have to prove that they do belong at the top spot, because Lamar Jackson and Baltimore, they're coming for heads, and I think they're going to take it. Ravens laying the points.
Let's go to Green Bay. It's the Rams and the Packers. Green Bay is laying 3 at home. My question simply is why? You got two teams that are so confused. You don't know what you're getting out of Jordan Love. At the same time, you don't know what you're getting out of Matthew Stafford. I called for the Rams to win last week in Dallas. That was a mistake. I'm going to make the call again. This time, I think they're going to do it. I'm going to take the points, and I'm going to call for the Rams to get the straight-up win. Michael?
We are like-minded, my friend, this morning. I'm going with the Rams, and I'm taking the points as well. Look, Green Bay is struggling right now, and unfortunately, I don't see those struggles turning around against a Rams team that, like you said, each and every week is sneaky good. This team has the ability to beat you on both sides of the ball. Maybe not enough preseason credit was given to the Rams. Maybe that's on us or whatever. But Bottom line, Matthew Stafford is a little bit dinged up, but I still believe that the Rams have enough in their arsenal to get this done.
All right, Victor, what do you think about this one?
Yeah, I'm taking the Rams. The Packers are just god awful. They are bowling shoe ugly. They are clearly now in rebuilding mode. Jordan Love is not the answer. He is probably the biggest trash can dumpster pelican trash fire I've ever seen this side of the Lake Michigan.
I love it.
Matthew Stafford, he's dinged up, but he's got that experience and he knows how to use his weapons. I see the Rams making a comeback after their loss to Dallas. I'm saying the Rams. I'm taking the points.
I want to talk about a team that's getting close. The last couple of times, if they've let leads slip away all season, it's this one. It's the Indianapolis Colts traveling to Charlotte to take on the Carolina Panthers. It's a 4:05 kickoff. The Colts are laying 2 on the road. They get this one right. This is the game that the Colts need to turn their season around. The Panthers got lucky last weekend. I'll repeat myself. The Panthers got lucky last weekend that Eddie Pinheiro figured out where the goalposts were. They're going to have to face a ferocious Colts defense. And if you look at the game last week against New Orleans, what cost the Colts were offensive turnovers. That defense is ready to roar. They will come out smoking on Sunday. I'm taking the Colts, and I'm laying the points. Mike?
Yeah, the Panthers got their first victory last week, and there's something to be said about coming in on a high, but you hit all the right notes, Brian, when you just mentioned this. That Colts defense is going to be ready. They're going to be primed for this Carolina Panthers team. I don't see either way on either side of the ball where Carolina is a better team than Indianapolis. Colts defense is going to be able to control them without question, even though there's some inconsistencies on offense that might scare me with other teams that the Colts have on their schedule coming up, including one in Germany.
Yep.
But we'll get to that next week.
Yes.
That's going to be a fun one. Oh, yeah. Dr. K may not like me next week, but bottom line, this week, all in on the Colts. They definitely take this one in Carolina.
I have the feeling I'm going to make an appearance on Lockdown Patriots to talk about that game next week.
I think so. It might be ready.
Yeah, I will be ready, and I know Dr. K will be ready, but we're all in on the Colts. Victor?
Yeah, I think the Colts are going to finally take this one, and I'm laying the points. Like you said, and I fully agree with you, the Panthers got lucky. The Panthers got absolutely lucky. They are still not a good team. They still don't have any weapons. They don't even have a leader to really right the ship. And I think the Colts have been getting tired of just being on the cusp.
Right.
Always been turned away at the door. I think this time they kick the door down and they take the win here.
And it happened week 1 of the season against Jacksonville. They were right there. They were ready to score that win, but turnovers cost them. And of course, they lost Anthony Richardson for the year with a shoulder injury. They're going to get some more pieces, and they're going to turn this thing around. If they don't make the playoffs this year, look for them next year to really roar with a healthy Anthony Richardson. We got to go to Philadelphia, 425. The Cowboys and the Eagles. Philadelphia laying 3. And I know Victor's going to yell at me for this one, but I got to say fly, Eagles, fly, because it's feast or famine when it comes to the Cowboys this year. When they play save the Arizona game, when they play lesser competition, they feast. When they play contenders, they are in a deep famine, i.e. San Francisco. I'm going with the Eagles, and I'm laying the points. Victor, I'll go to you.
I'm not going to yell at you because I don't necessarily disagree. I know this is more of a heart call than a head call, but the one thing I will say, the Cowboys play slightly better when they're in their own division. You see, they play with a little bit more heart, a little bit more urgency, and there's a little bit of luck that comes in with these games. So even if it's by luck, I'm going with the Cowboys. I'm taking the points. I could absolutely wrong, and this will blow my face, and I'll get bullied like you know what on Monday. But I'm going with the Cowboys on this one because I think there's a little bit of luck. I think Dak, who had a really nice game last week, I think he will try to do a repeat performance. As long as Pennywise hits out the way, I think the Cowboys could take this one.
Yeah, and therein lies your problem. Michael?
Well, I do agree with Victor that I think Dak is going to bounce back and have a nice game this weekend. I really do believe that he's primed in this type of environment to be able to showcase what he can do. But I just think that Eagles team is better on both sides of the ball by a slight margin. And I'm not saying it's by a lot.
Right.
It wouldn't surprise me to see the Cowboys pull this out because they have the talent to do it. But the fact that it's in Lincoln Financial Field, the fact that the Philadelphia Eagles and that defense just is a monster when it's capable of shutting down, I think they get just enough stops. I like the Eagles, and I'm laying the points.
We're going to the jungle for Sunday Night Football. The Bills and the Bengals. 8:20 is your kickoff time, Eastern Standard Time. Cincinnati laying 2 at home. And after what they did to my 49ers, I see no problem in taking the Cincinnati Bengals and laying the points. Joe Burrow and the bunch have got it together. And when you can march into Levi's Stadium and stop a defense that is consistently ranking the top 3 in the NFL the past few years, defensive coordinator or not, you have served notice. The Bengals have served notice. They'll hold serve at home. Give me the Bengals, and I'm laying the points. Michael?
Yeah, give me the Bengals, and I'm laying the points as well. I saw this team a couple of weeks ago fall to a vastly inferior New England Patriots team, and I can't believe I'm saying those words, but that's exactly how it was because they were soft in the underbelly. They did not execute when they needed to, and there are ways that teams' defenses can attack Josh Allen. Look, I know Josh is coming off of getting advice from Tom Brady earlier this week about taking the check down when it's there, but that's not Josh's style, and I don't think he's going to heed that, but it would be smart for him to do that in this game. Bottom line, I just think the Bengals are playing at a better level right now, and as much as I'm impressed by the Bills and continue to be, I think the Bengals are the hot hand right now, so I'm going with Cincinnati.
All right, Victor, do you make this one unanimous?
Yeah, I think WKRP and Cincinnati is going to be blaring through the jungle. I definitely got to go with Cincinnati on this. Joe Burrow, he's trying to get back to the Super Bowl. He feels like he got another one in him, and honestly, I don't disagree. And I don't see Bills Mafia really standing up to that onslaught. So I gotta go with Cincy, and I'm laying the points.
This reminds me of 1988, the AFC Championship at Old Riverfront Stadium on the AstroTurf. Jim Kelly versus Boomer Esiason. Anybody that remembers that, you're as old as I am, but you remember some great football. We go to Monday Night Football in the Meadowlands, the Chargers and the Jets. And yes, I put SD up there for a reason, because to me, they'll always be the San Diego Chargers. Brandon Staley is the internal enemy of the Chargers, but they're playing the New York Jets. Give me the Chargers, and I'm laying the points. And that's all I got. Michael?
Yeah, give me the Chargers, and I'm laying the points as well. I think we definitely are on the same wavelength this morning, Brian, without any question. But, I always have an affinity for that organization, so I'm always going to give them the benefit of the doubt. But I think Justin Herbert is a better quarterback than Zach Wilson. And at the end of the day, the way these two teams are playing, I think it is going to come down to a quarterback showdown. Jets defense is capable of keeping them in any game. So if there is a defense that's capable of shutting down Justin, they may have the chance to do it. But I like the fact that this kid can come in on the road, and I think he's going to show a lot of people what he can do on a national stage. I like the Chargers.
Finish it off, Victor.
It's because what you said before, Brandon Staley. That's why I'm actually going with the Jets, and I'm taking the points. I just think that
I believe
coaching,
it.
I think coaching just slightly edges out talent, and I think that's always been the Achilles heel of the Chargers is their coaching. And I think Zach Wilson, he's proven people wrong. He's starting to get better and better and better. And is he as good as just Herbert is? Kind of, sort of, not really. But I still think that Zach Wilson and the Jets, who are a bit more fundamentally sound than the Chargers are, I think they edges out this one. I'm going to take the points, but I'm going with the Jets, Jets.
And you know, I love Robert Saleh. Robert Saleh was the defensive coordinator for the 49ers for 4 years. Okay. Robert Saleh can get the job done. Brendan Staley is going to be the Chargers' own enemy. Be that as it may, I'm taking the Chargers. Victor's taking the Jets. That's our picks this week. And they're brought to you by betus.com. Use the code Snowman on your initial deposit, and you get a 125% deposit match. Mike Debate, our senior NFL insider, joining us this week. And knowing next week who's playing in Germany, I have the feeling I'm going to make a couple of guest appearances. All the love and all the best, Michael. Thank you very much for hopping on this week. I miss you. I love having you each week on to take some picks and talk some football with us.
Absolutely. Always my honor and privilege. My favorite part of the week. Victor, always a pleasure to share the microphone with you as well. Gentlemen, have a great week and enjoy the games on Sunday.
Thank you very much.
All mine, Mr. Debate.
Were you afraid to pick that Cowboy game?
No. I knew what I was going for. And like I said, I'm doing this knowing full well it could blow up my face, knowing full well I'll get kicked around and bullied if they do get smacked, like I'm pretty sure they're going to. But doggone it, there's part of me that's like, I think they can edge it out because there's a little bit of luck in these games, particularly in divisional games, and that's
the key. And that's the biggest key that you brought up. It's a divisional game. It's a divisional game,
and they play with a little more sense of urgency.
The only problem with this, the only problem is, it's in Philadelphia. If it's in Dallas, then I'd have a little more trepidation because you remember what happened last year. Philadelphia had a 10-point lead, and then they wound up surrendering 40 points. You know, Eagles won that game 40-34. We got some comments that came in. Real Wise always giving it to me. He says you have to win titles or to be considered a dynasty. This would be true, and we got 5 of them. Have we won any lately? No. Have we been to the Super Bowl a couple of times? Yeah. Have we won them? No. Just no. I know that. And the Chiefs are becoming a dynasty right before our eyes.
Yes.
Ryan McCarthy, wifepick.exe initialize.
Hey,
listen, I got no qualms in saying it. That's the second team. That's the other team in the household, the Colts and the 49ers. Matter of fact, hold on a moment, folks. See, my honey got me this. All right. She got me this jacket of the Indianapolis Colts, which I wear very proudly, especially when it's cold outside. And Ryan again executed successfully. Mike picking against the Jets.exe. Brian always knows where to hit home with us, man. He always knows. I know you're picking on me, Ryan. It's all in love. I know that. Raw Dogs with us as Chargers easily. They have the better offense, and scoring 13 points a game isn't going to cut it. This is true. Even though Cleveland has a dynamite defense. Saw it up close and personal 3 weeks ago.
Right. But are you trying to trust Brandon Staley to do that more than once?
Brandon Staley is not Don Coryell.
Yeah, exactly.
Brandon Staley is not Marty Schottenheimer.
And I agree. The Chargers are a much more superior team. But I also think that the Cowboys are a superior team in terms of talent-wise. And yet they're dancing.
You are absolutely mad. You are absolutely mad. Matter of fact, with that statement, I give you this.
Okay, let's be honest here. Dak may be a mental midget, but he is not a scrub. Okay, let's.
No, he's not. He ain't Sam Howell.
He ain't Sam Howell. No, he's not.
He ain't Jordan Love. Thank God.
I always said he's not that bad talent-wise. He's just that bad head-wise. He needs to get his head on straight. CeeDee Lamb,
and that's going to take another coach.
Right.
We both say that's going to take another coach. We got a couple of team. It just may take another team. It just may take another team. Which team is that? We don't know. We just don't know.
After so many failures in big playoff games, who's going to take him?
I'm going to get punched. Victor's going to punch me in the throat for this, but Dak Prescott may become Geno Smith.
Oh, God, I really hope not. I just threw up my mouth a little bit. Why would you do that?
Because it's you, because you're my best friend, and I love you, and I can pick on you like that.
No, I don't think he's that.
No, he's not gonna drop to Geno Smith status. I'll give you that. He's not. The question is, once again, who is going to not only have the will to take that on, but have the money to take that contract on? Those are two very big questions.
And maybe he may want to stay in Dallas, and he might do better in Dallas, but he's got to have some sort of a mentor program. Like I said, if you can get hold of Troy Aikman and get him down there and actually get in his head and say, look, you're the captain of the team. If you get the playmaker Michael Irvin to do the same thing, someone's got to sit him down and say, look, you are the captain of this team. You are the one that's basically going to be the leader of the team that's going to be driving for the next 4 or 5, 6 years.
Yeah.
You have to learn how to deal with adversity
and
stand up to it, rise above it rather than succumbing to it.
Yeah, that's the point. That is the point. All right. Base is on the way. We'll take a break, but in the meantime, remember this.
Hey, bro, you walk through this office building every day. You know what the fire alarm look like. I don't want to hear that.
Oh my
is wrong? Like you got. I wish you had that button right now.
Got me up
with this bull. You got a motherfucker thinking from New York can't read. Don't know red means fire alarm. Like you seen it says don't pull or pull in case of emergency. There was no emergency. Like oh my God.
Keep
cooking.
Let me calm down.
Because this dude is really a yo.
Keep cooking.
I'm wondering why you brought this up, man. Like this is not news. This is not news. This is some stupid trying to make a power play, and he came out looking like a dumb. This is all that is. Well, let me try to delay this phone. I'm late. Negro, put up. You need to speed up your watch or something, or put your alarm set so you can leave 20 minutes earlier. I don't know, but pull a fire alarm. Yo, you was just giving New Yorkers a bad name with this dumb, stupid. Like really.
Oh my gosh. Wise El Jefe strikes again.
Ladies and gentlemen,
yes.
Bizarro Wise.
Bizarro Wise has struck again. Wise, we love you. Back in a few minutes.
Hey, Eagles fan. Join my man Cool McCain and a host of others as they break down every single game, every single week in an objective manner, and also from a fan's perspective as well. Remember, this cast feels just like you. Nobody likes you. And you don't care. Fly, Eagles, fly. Eagles Elite Podcast. Every Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern on YouTube and other podcast outlets.
Everything Boston. I love you morons. New Kids on the Block, New Edition,
dear whatever the law firm is. Sincerely, the U.S. Supreme Court.
Ben Affleck, Matt Damon. Go yourself again, Jason.
Ready to hang with some fellas who know football? Let's ride. LC Muscles 28.
I think they're the most overrated defense in the league.
Steel Sermon.
We did not trail for a single second.
Tiny Tim.
McCarthy is a bonehead.
A Pizzle 90.
I'm going with my boys. Fins up, baby.
Get ready for the Four Horsemen of Pick'ems. Every Wednesday night at 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Central on YouTube. Poppy J.
You got the option to cry for the government. You got the option to protest. You got the option to keep buying, but this is also an option.
Wise El Jefe.
We're the first tech geeks. We're the first gamers. We're the first everything. Everything. Like Gen X's, we are the ones.
BS3 Network proudly presents the crew from the New York boroughs who never wants that smoke. Nah, they want that fire. Poppy J and Wise El Jefe. Fridays at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central. Check your local listings for your viewing and listening pleasure.
Mister, how do you operate this Twitter thing or this Instagram thing or whatever the heck? You're supposed to know all this stuff. Anyway, welcome back to the show.
One final piece of the puzzle to wrap up the week.
And now, the transporter to Hades, the reformer of hooker whores, and the bronze god, the one, the only, the legendary Chris Bay.
When you hear that introduction, it's the one and only Chris Bass joining the fun on this Friday. Good morning, sir. Happy to have you once again.
Living legend.
Very, very kind of you. Good morning, Rayman. Of course, good morning to everybody else in the romper room section. Of course, that would be the mad scientist, Wise, all the boys and girls in the comment section. Good morning, and a good morning, boom shakalaka to you.
All right. Let's turn it loose. Let's have some fun. What you got for us this week?
Well, on Monday's first take, Stephen A. Smith was talking to NFL commentator Dan Orlowski. And because Orlowski called the game for the Chiefs and Dolphins coming up in Germany.
Right.
So because Dan is going and the network is flipping the bill for him going first class, in the exchange on the show, come to find out that his wife, Dan's wife, is coming along with him, but she's flying in coach at the time.
Right.
And so the look on Dan's face looked like, well, that was supposed to be between behind the scenes, not really in front of the camera here.
Yeah.
His expression. And then Molly Crim, of course, the moderator, says to Dan, if you were a real man. Now, see, when you say things like that, those are fighting words.
Yes.
Oh, boy.
Now, where I come from, those are fighting words. You about to knuckle up and guard your grill. I'm not talking about physical. I'm talking about verbally. And so when I watched the whole thing unfold, being in media, it's like, okay, you know when it's a bit and you know when it's really not a bit.
Right.
And the way Dan's reaction was, it wasn't a bit. He was trying to put on Front Street the way he was. And the fact that you had a double team, really a triple team, because Shannon Sharp was on there, but more so Stephen and Molly coming up with the double team. And I thought it was out of pocket. Now, mind, this is Monday now. So by yesterday, it was mentioned again on the show. And so now Stephen A is going to be like Captain Saberhole and comes forward and said, I'm going to flip the bill for Dan's wife. Not saying Dan's wife a hole, mind you, but just the cape factor and stuff like that. So he's going to be Captain Saberhole and come in and flip the bill for Dan's wife to be on the plane going to Germany. She could go first class, of course, with her husband. It's that type of thing is just unnerving, because again, if I didn't know any better, that was a private conversation.
I'd say it was too.
Yeah,
I'd say it was too.
Right. And all of a sudden he brought you to the forefront on the camera for the nation to see and everything else. It was just bogus, man. It's like, again, you know where you stand at. This is why at times I can't give it to Stephen A. Smith. I respect his background. I respect what he does, but his personality is less to be desired. Now, yes, from Monday to Thursday, you put the man on Front Street, and you probably got some backlash, or dare I say blacklash from that. So by Thursday, again, you want to put on the KB Captain Saver hole, then turn around and just go on and flip the bill for the front class and the first class situation because of what happened. It shouldn't have happened in the first place.
No, it shouldn't.
And when you're working with, but you're working with team, working with people. You work with these people. So I don't care how much money you make at the end of the proverbial day. Dan Orlowski is not making what Stephen A. Smith is. It's like he said in the Monday Exchange, if I had to pay for a first class ticket, that's like 2 mortgages.
Right.
And so everybody gets paid differently. So yeah, it's one of those things where it should have kept behind the scenes. It really was. So by Thursday, everybody's nice, everybody got back to neutral corners, and everything is great. But it should never have happened. This should have been a private conversation behind closed doors.
And I think it's going to stick with Dan that he was put on Front Street like that. I mean, it's like you said, Base, you got to keep, that's one you keep to yourself. You don't put anybody out. You don't put anybody out front like that. But A, consider the network. B, consider the people involved. And then, you know, just to drum up drama and drum up trouble, you have this happen.
There should be. I'm sorry. Who's that talking? I'm sorry. I didn't catch the voice.
Victor.
Oh, what's up, Victor? How you doing, Vicola? What's up, man?
I'm good. How are you, Mr. Base?
Man, good to hear from you, Doc. I'm sorry, I didn't catch the voice earlier, so I thought Rain Man was doing like a ventriloquism act. For some reason. I thought, you know,
I wish.
Like, how the hell are you doing that?
I wish. I truly.
No, but I didn't know you were like, Victor, please have at it. Go right ahead.
To me, this seems very like I liken this to what happened between Shannon. Pow.
And of course, pow. There's the uppercut from Cole with that. Who then pushing that button?
I very liken this to the Shannon and Skip situation. It's like, again, something that really should not have been brought up out in the open like that. It's something that you have behind closed doors. And especially to try to throw one of your own colleagues on the bus, I think it's completely unprofessional. That's why I've never really had a real liking to Screaming A. Smith.
Me neither.
You don't have to put your knee in the neck of your colleagues to make you feel better. But if that's your MA or MO or ABC, whatever you want to call it, it's very sickening and sad. Because it's like you are your own worst enemy. You've made it. You're the $8 million man. You're the face of the network. Why must you do this? Are you just that petty, that small of a person? You've achieved a lot of things that most people of color would not achieve. Period. And you continue. Right. I'm sorry. And you continue to put on the
people in the dirt.
You continue to do that. Continue to put on the black face and the red lip and colorful. There's moonshine and all that type of stuff. When you get up there and do those horrific faces and just sick behavior pattern, it makes no sense. You are at a point in your life where you can really help people. I don't know what he does behind closed doors. It's none of my business. But you can really help people. You can really be an example of what to do when you achieve. But if you're still that small and still that petty at the age you are right now and the pinnacle of your career, don't be wrong, like I said before, when I was teaching at Illinois Media School, he's looked up to so admirably. And I understand it's the generation because the kids that were in my class, they love and admire. And I do say love and admire Screaming A. Smith. I wasn't going to deny it. You like and love who you like. As I said before, it's not the way. It's a way to do things. It's not the way.
Right.
And so once that was established, then they went on from there. But they thought that was the way, that you had to behave in that manner. And once again, that's the way he behaves. I mean, that you had to behave that way.
Exactly.
So I'm sorry, go ahead.
It's his thing. It shouldn't be your thing. And it's not, like you said, Base, it's not the way to behave. I had to learn that from you and many others along my ride in 30 years. I had to learn that.
But see, you wanted to learn. That's a difference. you wanted to learn. A lot of people don't want to learn. A lot of people think they got it already and think that the end all to be all and don't need any more knowledge. Everybody, no matter how old you get, needs more knowledge. It just makes you a better human being, let alone you're going to do this thing called podcasting and content creative control, things like that. You have to have the a mindset to do it, and hopefully people will gravitate towards that. But again, I just thought it was really out of pocket. And going back to what Victor said, if you don't respect the person across the table from you, then why are you there in the first place?
Right.
Why are you there in the first place? I don't have to like you. You don't have to like me, but respect is going to happen whether you like it or not.
Yep. Which led to Skip and Stephen A blowing up, which led to Shannon and Skip blowing up. There, in my opinion, there just wasn't any mutual respect. And I wouldn't even say with Shannon and Skip toward the end of the run. I'd say when it first started, there wasn't any respect there. You can see it and you can feel it. And as it's often said, you can cut the tension with a knife. The whole time Skip has been at Fox, you can cut the tension with a knife. Go ahead, Victor.
I'd say they had some form of mutual respect because there was a lot of times that Skip agreed and even went to bat for Shannon Sharpe in the beginning. It's just there are certain topics that Skip is he's so hard on for that he will not relent his part. One of them being Tom Brady, which started the whole blow up between there.
Mm-hmm.
He had, I think, a bit more respect for Stephen A because they both kind of were in the same basketball realm. So they had a bit more respect in that retrospect. But you could tell that Stephen A does not like being upstaged by anybody, i.e. Max Kellerman.
And that situation, you know, the more that is still coming out about what Stephen A did to Max Kellerman, it sickens me that people are so petty that you stoop that low to get rid of somebody that was basically A, on your coattails, B, on the come up, and C, not taking your position, but creating their own, and was in the process of being better than you because, as you said, Base, he was willing to learn the game. And he stopped him from learning the game.
Well, once again, I give Stephen A. Smith credit. He's an honest hoe. At least he's on record for the Breakfast Club, other programs he went to say that he purposely got rid of Max Kellerman. I got to give the honest hoe credit. He's an honest hoe, and I respect the honest hoe. He said what he said, and I meant it. But like I said, and he meant it. I understand. Look, when you call a spade, if it walks like a duck and quacks, it's ducking. So I remember what I said about him being an honest hoe. But I would still have been leery, and once again, we're still, I guess, in the tail off of the honeymoon phase between Shannon Sharpe and Screaming A. I bet you a dime to anybody's donut. Watch Stephen A. start to get jealous of Shannon Sharpe. Because why? He's already proved that behavior pattern before. You don't, once again, I don't, look, man, I don't know. I guess it depends, obviously, who you are. I would be content and happy if I was in Stephen A's position.
Yeah.
I don't need, again, to step on somebody's career to further mine. I've already hit the pinnacle. But if you constantly want to knock down other people, what does it say about you? I think Mac.
He did it again.
Let somebody know next time. I was in the middle of a great damn speech, and all of a sudden I see bowling shoes. You got to let me know these things. I mean, I appreciate the elements of the show. You know, I'm just a tiny segment here at the end.
That's just Cole being Cole and pushing all the buttons.
I understand, but you know, give me an earpiece so I can hear your gas. Tell me, hey, Bass, I'm going for it. Connect me. Connect me next time. Let you know he's a man, so I know what the hell he's doing. Cole, next time you and I gotta talk. Connect me into my ears. That way I won't get on a roll. Look at don't ever interrupt my wisdom, doctor. I'm on a roll here.
I love it. I love it.
I was going to see
thank you for the dress down. Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
It's not a dress down. It's a damn fact. It's a fact. Well, we switch places, and you sitting here pontificating, and on a damn roll, I might add, and all of a sudden you see some funky bowling shoes in front of me, and your mic is muted. How would you feel? I'm just saying, y'all my brothers. You treat me like somebody's stepchild. I'm sitting the road trying to, try to get something to eat around the, castle and stuff like that.
Oh Lord.
Oh my God. No, I'm a part of the show. Ooh wee. Just next time, let a Negro know. I'm telling you. Let me know, man.
We will.
Just let me know. Hey, Base,
Fine.
hey, Base, I'm gonna give me
All right.
connected to what the hell y'all got there, your operation. Say it in my ear in about 15 seconds. I'm gonna play this.
Okay, yeah. Element after the rant.
That's right. Right.
I'm sorry. This is what I'll do from now on. Element after the rant.
And you know what? I think everybody should take that lesson. Myself included. And Base is right. It's funny, but the exchange is funny, but Base is right though.
No. The wisdom is correct.
Just man. Hey, I'm part of this damn family too. Let me know stuff.
We will.
Thank you.
Yes, brother. My apologies.
Yes, brother. Salami and bacon. That's all I asked for. Salami and bacon.
Sorry.
He didn't say or bacon. He said and bacon.
I'm sorry. Element in 5 seconds. Lord have mercy. Salami and bacon.
That's how you do it.
I catch on.
Damn it, that's how you do it.
Now, see, I catch on the wisdom quite fast.
Yeah, man.
He said and bacon.
But I want to get
go on.
So sorry.
Please.
Go on, baby.
So you was on the Stephen A. Smith roll. I'm sorry.
He was on a roll.
Oh, it's okay. No, I had to get that out. I was like, ooh, God damn it. Okay. So when you're on this whole, going back to Stephen A. and Screaming A, and you're on the record by getting rid of Max Kellerman, who I believe was probably the best co-host probably since Skip Bayless for that type of tangent to go back and forth. And he felt intimidated, I think. He felt that he was getting all the shine more so than he was, going back to Screaming A. And he got rid of him. No matter how many times he's tried to explain it, it still come off as you got rid of him because he was too much a competition, I think.
Right.
And so that's how it came off to me. But and then going back to Skip, as you mentioned before on Fox Sports 1, I said it before and I say it again. You always run into that dude who thinks he's cool and not.
Yeah.
Run into that dude who tries too hard, maybe surround himself by cool people, but he's still not cool. Cool is something that you're born with, that you find in life, that you able to, justify your position of who you are and make it into your ego. So, for example, in the beginning of Fox Sports 1, Undisputed, you got Lil Wayne there. He'll give you some street cred. But at the end, when both of them shake hands, it destroys everything. Why? Because Skip Bayless has no street cred.
Right.
True.
None whatsoever. So you may have the places in front of people in front of you that make you look cool. Doesn't make you cool at all. At all.
Agreed.
So that to me is just it's a wasted space, but it is what it is, and he got the right people, got the money in back of him. Same with Screaming A and same with Skip Bayless, but they deserve each other. I wish they were able to come back. I think they were trying to come back together again at one point. I think Skip was trying to leave to go over to Fox and everything, but they deserve each other.
No.
They do. I don't look. Separate cases. They need each other. I mean, I'm telling you.
I don't want to see
Mary.
I barely want to see those two on TV separately. Them together again.
They deserve each other. Yes,
they're too much alike.
That is a 5-day-a-week migraine. Oh my!
You don't have to watch it. I don't have to watch it either. But they deserve each other.
Heck, maybe they could just drive each other off of TV. But gosh, that is like 5 days a week headache every time to see the two of them on the screen together.
I agree with Mr. Bass on this thing. They are very much alike. It's the only person that could work with Stephen A. is Skip. And the person that could work with Skip is Stephen A. They're too much alike. So I wouldn't be surprised if you see a little bit of chirping back and forth between Shannon and Stephen A.
And the pizza goes cold yet again.
I mean, because let's be honest, Shannon has way more swagger than Stephen A has.
All the time.
14 years.
Shannon has more swagger than Skip, Michael Irvin, Richard Sherman, Keyshawn Johnson, and Stephen A. Smith all put together.
True.
I mean, seriously, he does. I mean, to me, he's the hottest commodity in sports talk at the moment.
Yeah, he is. That is until we get there in about a year's time. But I ain't the one to gossip, so yeah.
But I'm sorry, Element in about 5 seconds. Oh my gosh, Skip and Stephen A. together again on TV.
Got me
Oh my gosh.
You just effed up. I'm sorry. They deserve each other, man. They don't deserve to be separate, separate but equal. They need to be together.
They need
that type of pettiness needs to be hand in hand till death do you part type of thing.
They need to
get together.
They need to equally ease on down the yellow brick road and skip all the way out of TV. That's what they need to do.
We know.
I agree. I agree with that too. But it's not happening.
Element in 5 seconds. I never thought I'd be able to do this, but for both of them,
come on!
That's what they both deserve. And
I'm
that's
with that for sure.
And that's what they give you. Oh gosh.
All right. So seriously. So actually on the Stephen A. Smith thing, Trotter's his last name. I can't forget. I forget his first name.
Jeremiah.
It was an article that talked about basically Stephen A's power in media, that just with his influence he can actually dissuade certain people from getting places, not just the Max Kellermans of the world, but people within teams. And do you think that Stephen A. wields too much power in the wrong way because of his ego, or do you think it's deserved?
I think with that type of high profile, I wouldn't say it's deserved. You have to just pick your battles, because there's people out there that actually like the band. And once again, I have heard rumblings and have read articles where he has helped people when it comes to charity events, things like that. So I can't knock him for that. But again, when you have an attitude such as his, it's really kind of hard to embrace him. When you're petty like that and you're able to, again, knock down your colleagues or just trying to get on the come-ups, just like you had to get on the come-ups. And I think, again, when you don't, in some way, and not saying he doesn't do it, pass the baton of progress to somebody else, that I just think there's one of those people that's just like they want to hold on to it for their own dead, old hands and take it with them. It goes back to what Denzel Washington said, when you see a hearse, you don't see a U-Haul behind it. You can't take it with you. So it would be nice to pass on. No, I think he does in certain elements, but when I saw this past Monday going to yesterday, it's just disturbing, that side of him. Not saying nobody's walking on water here. Nope. What I'm saying is, when you do things like that, that must be you on other occasions, not just you doing on television. That's you 24/7, and I think it's just a funky behavior pattern.
I ain't disagreeing with you on that.
I agree.
I
think
because that's what I find disturbing. I'm sorry. Sorry, Victor.
I think it's two different things. I think Stephen A. has earned the power he has, but now it's how is he going to use it? And it seems like for every time that he uses for something good, he then misuses it for something that's ill.
And that's the most maddening thing. What Victor just said. That's the most maddening thing. He worked so hard to get to the mountaintop, and now he's kicking dirt on everybody else that's trying to climb up to join him at the mountaintop with his abuse of power. It's an abuse of power, and it's always been that way with him. Why do you think his radio show wasn't successful 3 different times?
I'll be doggone if this doesn't sound like something I would hear my father say to me when I was in high school, and I could be old enough to understand the lesson, where he would say to me, if you ever get to a point where you actually have power and ability to influence, reach down and pick people up. Don't look down upon them and think that you are better than they are. Right. And I'm seeing Stephen A. Smith having the mentality that he is better than others, and it comes through on the screen.
Mhm.
And then when we read these stories of him, it's like, wow. So this was the lesson that my father was talking about. And I thought this brother who was around our ages would have picked up that lesson from his family and not be that same person that we were warned about to not be.
Yep.
Yeah. And it's playing out the way Cole and Victor both just said. It is playing out that way. And if you really want to think about it, gentlemen, it's playing according to script.
It is. And he knows that he has that power. So that's why he's using it that way. He's like, he wants you to come to his level, just below his level, but not at his level, and certainly not above his level.
Not above it.
Once you hit
Not
above his
above it,
level,
yep.
he will do everything to take you back down a peg. And I would not be surprised to see what happens if Shannon gets to that level. Because like I said, he's cooler. He has that swagger. People are going to gravitate towards Shannon because how Shannon is. And
He's much more affable. Yeah, he's much more affable. He's much more entertaining. I mean, it's almost painful when you see Stephen A. Smith does his top fives, how he tries to act like he's hip, and it's like, dude, all that stuff used to be what we would want to see 30 years ago.
Right.
Exactly.
And he's bringing it back at the wrong, and he's bringing it all back at the wrong time.
Yeah, you're not being retro, you're being old. I'm like, come on, if I would do the same, if any of us would do the same thing, we would be looked at as old.
You know what,
I'm
Cole?
like,
Chef's kiss to that statement right there. You're not being retro. Chef's kiss to you. You're not being retro. You're being old. And Base, a chef's kiss to you for something you said to me when we first teamed up. Just because you're loud doesn't mean you're right.
You're right.
Ooh. That was the first lesson Base ever taught me, and I've held on to it to this
chef kiss too, Base.
As
that's a fire wisdom, brother.
As this show celebrates its 10th season, you know, Base just pulled me aside. He said the first thing I want to teach you, just because you're loud doesn't mean that you're right.
Mm-hmm. And
you
that's
100%
what
correct.
Stephen A. fails to learn,
Mm-hmm.
even now, because it seems like whenever he gets into a
Always
situation,
had
he
I
always
always
has
had
statements.
Base with me to guide me, even when Base and I teamed up for a year at Chicago State to do play-by-play. You know, he said just stay with the he said stay with the game and stay within the game. Man,
one of the skit / elements or pieces that we would use to bring back our viewers from commercial pinpoints what you just said as advice and as wisdom perfectly. When we would do the running skit about Lori Lightfoot.
Yes.
And I said, you know, well, hey, I'm seeing the chat and people want it. I'm hearing Base saying no loudly. I'm hearing you, Snowman, saying no loudly, and I'm hearing you both. And it's not annoying. It's, you know, it's passionate from both of you, which I get.
Yes.
What I could hear clearer and then the bell was Wise being calm and controlled, saying, "Nah, bro, nah, stop the cap, stop the lies, stop the lies, stop the cap, bro, stop the lies."
It had everybody rolling even louder.
That brings home the point beautifully. Wise wasn't loud, but good Lord, that was the best part of that whole 20 seconds.
And Wise, a chef's kiss to you for that. We got to get on out of here, but Chris Base joins us every single Friday morning for his wisdom and everything that comes with it. I'm so glad that we made Base part of this show. And folks, if you don't catch him every Friday, you can catch him every Saturday morning with Baseline, a fabulous program on Base's YouTube channel. Thank you very much. We love you. You can't do a thing about it, and we look forward to having you again.
Oh, well, thank you for being myself again on this program. Thank you so much for having me every Friday. And as you know, go to YouTube and type in the Chris Base channel. Check it out for yourself. Go tell 5 of your friends and 18 of your enemies. That baseline will be in the air. I kid you not.
In the air. Love it. Thank you, Base. We love you.
Have a good weekend, everybody. Thank you so much.
Take care.
Ladies and gentlemen, Sly Stone, Chris Base. Love you, brother.
Right. That's right. Love you.
And now, the transporter to Hades. the reformer of hooker whores, and the bronze god, the one, the only, the legendary Chris Bay.
My friends are fools. My friends are idiots, and I love them all.
Yes, we are.
I
And
swear,
love them all.
I swear, if Cole and you, Brian, and Bass were like my teachers, my high school life would have been so much more fun.
I say the same thing.
I appreciate that, brother.
And Victor, if you were my classmate, I'd have gotten through high school a whole lot better.
I
We got to get out of here.
High school. I would enjoy high school if you all were my classmates.
The four of us together in the same man. Please, you want to know how much hell we would have raised on a good day, making everybody laugh? We got to go. Have a great weekend. God bless. Remember to make your next move your best move, and always remember, if your dreams don't scare you,
they are simply not big enough. And yes, Wise, we are handing out kisses, brother.
Yes, we are. LSU in Alabama, Saturday night, 7:45 on the Snowman Multimedia YouTube channel. Yours truly will have the call. God bless y'all. We'll see you Monday.
Peace. Oh, yeah. James Harden being a Clipper.